Hey, good morning, good morning. Okay, so I was asked to do this video. I guess the video pretty much is to answer, how do we know when we should get serious in a relationship? Okay, how do we know we should get serious in a relationship? Let me give you some history and then I'll bring it up to now. In the old days, it was assumed that the woman came to a man. It was assumed that if she does this, he will then do this. Okay? The assumption in this context was she'll stay home, she'll take care of the home, she'll take care of the kids, and so on and so on. And in return, the man will provide for the home, take care of the home, give vacation for the home, take care of the kids, school, and so on and so on and so on. History changed, that assumption changed, meaning it was a woman was working, a man was working, but the woman had no voting rights, she just wasn't there. Okay, so that woman still had the assumption and the man still had that assumption, and that assumption came together with an understanding for that home, and it was assumed. Okay. Fast forward, women can be in politics, women can be a doctor, a lawyer, a woman can be a businesswoman, and so on and so on. So you have two individuals. You have an individual. And the role has changed. Not the role. The role is, take away the role. We should say the responsibilities have not changed. The responsibility to the house, to the home, inside the home, outside the home. Okay. When you have two individuals, two separate individuals, you can no longer assume anything. So hence, we need an agreement. So ladies, when you hear a guy say, "What do you bring to the table?" What you don't realize is a guy is saying the contract. That's all he's saying is the contract. Back in the days, it was a verbal contract. The verbal contract was, I'll come into your life, I'll take care of your home, I'll take care of your kids. In return, I'll do this, I'll provide. Okay, that was an agreement. It was a contract. Then fast forward, it's prenup. Prenup was it's a contract to protect my assets. So if I have $5 million, I'm coming into the relationship. This money that I made before the relationship is mine and it will always stay mine. Now, in context, for a relationship, marriage point of view, that's unfair. It's fair, don't get me wrong, it's fair to the person who has the assets, but it's unfair for the relationship by itself. And I can understand how some people do not want to sign that prenup. But to get to the question, how do I know if this person is right for me now? You have to do a contract. You have to bring it to the table. You have to sit at a table. You have to draw up the contract. Now, what do I mean by contract? It's called a pre-marital contract. Now, that's the official name for it. But what I mean by dating aspect, you have to go into negotiations. Dating in today's time is not, well, let me rephrase that. Dating has always been negotiations. Dating has always been, where do you work? How much money do you make? Do you have kids? What is this? Do you have education? Do you have a job? That's all negotiation stuff. Negotiation stuff meaning, do you have a job so you can have a money? Because if you have money, you can do this in this relationship. But the question is, what do you bring to the table? And in today's time, a woman has money. So I want to take this time to define it. And by me defining it, it should help you understand, is this person right for you or not? Okay? Okay. Ladies, this is more specifically to you. You're working, you have money, you're getting money, some money's coming somewhere. Take your profession and your money and push it aside. Guys, you have a profession, you have money, your profession, your money, wherever it comes from, push that aside. We're stripping the profession and the money aside for a second so we can look at each other, okay? Excuse me. What do we bring to the table? In your negotiation, there are certain things that you have to understand. We are always negotiating. I work here. Don't talk about work. Just let them know you have a job. Ladies, don't talk about work. Just let them know you have a job. Okay, fine. We got that out the way. In this house, this box, when I come through that front door, this is what I'm going to do. For an example, if I come to that front door, I'm going to pay A, B, C, D, E, F, G bills. Okay, then you'll say, the other person, you'll say, well, when I come through that front door, if you pay for all of the bills, I'll pay for vacation. Okay, good. Let's put that aside. We got that. That's item A. Then you'll say, when I come through that front door, if I see something wrong, I'll fix it within a week's timeline. And you'll say, okay, if you do that, I will give you sex 3 to 4 times a week. I'm just throwing this out. I'm not saying for you to use this. You need to use this though. And you'll say, the guy will probably sign the contract right then and there, but let's just put that aside. And then you guys will go back and forth. If I do this, what do you want to do? If you respect me in this, if I respect you in that, you'll respect me in this. You're going back and forth. And eventually you'll get to a point where you have a understanding about the house, the box, what goes on inside and outside. Because a home is not just inside the box, it's outside the box too. If I'm a professional, my reputation is a professional reputation, I hope. The woman that needs to be with me needs to understand, outside my home, she represents the relationship. She needs to be a professional, or it represents the professional self of herself. Not to say that she has to be a professional. It's just she has to represent the professionalism of herself because she represents me. That's just an example. So it's outside the house and inside the house. Okay. When you're dating, that's good when you find a agreement. But now we need to take it the next step further. This is where a lot of couples don't talk about or nor touch. Okay? Consequences. If you don't do what you said you was going to do here, and I break up with you, this is the consequences. You get absolutely nothing. I'm just throwing that out. I'm not saying to use that. What's the consequences? If you cheat, What's the consequences? If you have a child, what's the consequences if you cheat? What's the consequences if you lose your job? How long do you need to have a job? And if you can't find a job in X amount of time and I decide to leave, what's the consequences of all of our actions? And this consequences should be detailed out. Without kids, with kids, without a job, with a job, so on and so on and so on. Okay. A premarital contract is a contract. We call it premarital because typically you do this before you get a marriage license. And give me a second for that. But that premarital contract, you don't need to get married. It's a legal binding bond. You form it up, you have an attorney, or you just get something and you draw it up on your paper. You put a place where there's a notary. You go to a notarizer that you'll sign in front of it. They will sign it and get a copy. One copy goes to you, one copy goes to her, one copy goes to your family, one copy goes to your attorney, blah, blah, blah. If by any chance you do decide you want to get married, you take that premarital contract, sign, date it, and an official copy, or probably the original, but official copy, with the application of the marriage license. When you fill out the marriage license, you take that copy and you put it with that and you submit it to the clerk. That clerk has to take the application of the license and the copy of the premarital license and put it in your folder. When you get a divorce, by law, that premarital contract is still legal. If you say in that premarital contract within that divorce, and it says, if you cheat, X amount of dollars goes to this person, that judge will look at that finding and say, you owe that person X amount of dollars. If you done this, and then let's say you did something to lose the kids, you agreed that if you do this, the kids will go stay him and you pay him. That contract is a legal binding contract in the court of law. Now, that's all you need. You don't need to get married or marriage license, but if you want to get a marriage license, make sure you take that contract and attach it to your marriage license to be filed. Okay, prenups. Prenups is good if you are in this relationship and you have a business and you're bringing that business into your family. Or you take that family and take the family out of the family and put it in the business. We call that in business piercing the veil. As long as you have a profession and as long as you don't bring your consulting, you don't talk about your business at home, as long as you don't ask for no advice, as long as you're not using no money towards a business, as long as you don't pierce the veil, that relationship has nothing to do with that business. And you can stipulate that. If I give you X amount of dollars to start a business, I am 50-50 partner. It's in your contract. You don't need to have a contract outside of that contract because that contract supersedes any other contracts. But if I have $5 million, my responsibility is to pay the bills if that's what's outlined in the contract. As long as I pay the bills, as long as you don't give me no money for my business, as long as you don't do X, Y, and Z for my business is my business and it has nothing to do with you. The problem with relationship is even in the contract, even if you have a contract, the problem is you pierce the veil. Amazon, for an example. When Amazon was started, he was already married. It wasn't the fact that they were married that she received all that money. No, it was the fact that while he was starting the business, she put money and time in the business. She afforded him so he didn't have to work, so he can do the business. That is a business partner. That's piercing the veil of the relationship. And because he and she pierced the relationship veil, she gets that money. If he started that business, never asked for any money, never took time out from that relationship, never did anything within that relationship, and that contract is there, she gets nothing. She gets the benefit of the lifestyle of the contract, meaning I'll take care of the house, the car, the stuff in the house, the stuff outside the house. I will provide all of this. In return, you do this. So he can or she can bring up the lifestyle of the relationship over time, but she will never have anything to do with the business as long as you keep the relationship separate from the business. And the consequences are understood with work, without work, with kids, without kids, so on and so on. And then the agreement. Okay? A prenup is good, but in my personal opinion, it is not fair. I think a relationship contract, we call it pre-marital, but you can title it any way you want. Marital contract, pre-marital contract, you can title it any way you want, but it is best if you sign a contract before you get married or before you start living. Okay. So many times a guy, give me a real example. A guy felt sorry for a girl, brought her into his house, got her to work in the business to give her employment. When they broke up a year and a half later, she got part of that business. Because he allowed her to pierce the veil of that relationship. As long as he felt sorry for her and allow her to stay at home and help her find another job somewhere, not in your company, when she separates, she gets nothing. And if you have an agreement, a contract, a stay, say you're going to stay 6 months, you're going to stay a year, you can stay 20 years. I don't care. This is how it's going to look like. If I do this, if I provide this, I provide this. This is mine. I'm providing it. It's mine. It's not yours. What are you doing? You provide this, this, and this, and we'll work that out. Okay. So piercing the veil is an issue that you have to address. A premarital contract is a contract. You have to have it in today's time. You have two individuals and they are very individual. And you can't assume like they did a long time ago. You can't assume it. So you have to sit down and you have to make it equal. And if a person won't get into a contract with you, premarital, marital, or married contract, let them go. If they're willing to get with you, it has to be fair and equal. And if the contract is signed and you have assets, there are ways to protect the assets outside of the family. But the key point is, do not pierce the veil. Okay? So if you meet someone and you are attracted to that person and you guys are starting to talk to each other, start the negotiation quickly. Start to talk about, hey, this is what I can do if let's assume we live together. This is what I can do. Well, I'll do this. If they don't talk like that, if they only want to have sex, if they only want to have a short term, if they only want a sugar daddy contract, I'll be a sugar daddy. Not me. Don't call me and text me about sugar daddy stuff. I'll be your sugar daddy. Sign this contract. This is what I'm willing to provide. This is what you have to provide. A contract. Because all contracts with sound mind individual and a notary, third party notarizer, is legal in a court of law. It's one way to protect yourself, to protect your assets of your home, and to protect your sanity. So there's no assumptions assuming anything. Because in today's time, guys and girls are getting emotionally, financially stressed because they assumed, like all old school relationships did. And so this type of thing that we have to do in today's time, unfortunately, is what we have to do. Attach it to your marriage license and go from there. All right. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comments or concerns. And if you want something else for me to talk about, let me know. I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye-bye.